Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
Want to just get out of town with your friends and family? Are you having a corporate getaway and have no adequate transport? Then this here is what you need to listen to. A brand new 35-seater Yutong luxury bus is now up for hire at an affordable and negotiable rate. It comes fully equipped with aircon, TV for your relaxation, music soothing your trip, and DVD players to give you variety. Book now by calling 0955 0966 or 977 844 141.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Your jungle.
Thank you so much for joining us to present the main news on Prime TV. My name is Daniel Tonga. We take a look at what is making the headlines. Supreme Court reserves ruling in Mao Sampa's case for Monday. Efforts to bring a Guy Scott on PF campaigns have failed, charges Nkandu Luo. ZEC warns a public against voting for leaders failing to respect their party constitutions. And in foreign news, twin blasts hit market in Nigeria's Jos. These and other interesting stories right after this. News in detail. The Supreme Court has reserved ruling for Monday a case in which Matero Member of Parliament Mao Sampa is challenging the consent judgment for Edgar Lungu. The full bench of Supreme Court could not hear another appeal whether Mr. Sampa wanted the candidature of Edgar Lungu determined or barred until his application regarding the consent judgment was heard. Mao Sampa's lawyers have contended that the General Conference that elected him was valid and legal, as they were not aware about the court injunction. Mr. Sampa is also seeking that he be joined and allowed to contest the consent judgment that was delivered in the High Court. Some PF cadres flocked to the Supreme Court to show their solidarity for Mao Sampa. The battle for PF presidency is still on. Today, the Supreme Court heard arguments from both sides in a case in which Mao Sampa is challenging a consent judgment against Edgar Lungu. Mr. Sampa is also seeking that he be allowed to contest the consent judgment that was delivered in the High Court. Clad in a black suit, Mao Sampa walked confidently to the other side of the court to greet his sympathizers who had gathered outside the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has now reserved ruling to Monday on whether Sampa can be allowed to contest the consent judgment. Monday still remains a big day for Sampa, as his next move in this fight largely depends on the outcome of the ruling by the Supreme Court. The PF political pendulum is still swinging, and surprisingly, as one group of the PF is campaigning, the other one is in court challenging the other. And with all this, one might conclude that PF is only a party that shares one name, but in actual sense has two parties within itself. Reporting for Prime TV News, Daniel Tonga at the Supreme Court, Lusaka. Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, has charged that it is unfair to criticize the Patriotic Front or any political party for soliciting campaign funds from well-wishers of their choice. FODEP Executive Director McDonough Chipenzi says the PF should not even be apologetic or feel guilty of anything for the alleged soliciting of campaign funds in Zimbabwe. Mr. Chipenzi says under the current legal and political environment, any political party is free to look for campaign funds from anywhere in the world. He says this is the price Zambia is paying for failing to put a law that should regulate funding sources and disclosure of funding sources by political parties. Mr. Chipenzi said this in a statement made available to Prime TV in Lusaka. And Mr. Chipenzi has condemned Harry Kalaba and Edgar Lungu for not informing Acting President Guy Scott about their visit to Zimbabwe. Chief Mumena of the Kawonde-speaking people of Solowezi has bemoaned the continued deprivation of development in the area, despite the area generating most of the country's wealth through the mines. The chief wondered why the area is still experiencing high poverty levels and lack of development in infrastructure when the area is the one that is at the center of the country's economy. He said successive governments have failed to take development to the province, urging all those taking part in the presidential by-election to consider taking development to the province if voted into office. The traditional leader said this in Solwezi during the launch of the Strengthened Accountability Project aimed at forcing companies operating in Northwestern and government to dialogue in taking development to the province.
Solwezi is being referred to by many as the new copper belt due to its heightened mining activities. But despite this mere slogan, nothing is there for the province to boast about. The area is still faced with high poverty levels, while the roads have now hit their worst state in the history of Zambia. This has resulted in several organizations coming together to help the province benefit from its wealth. Representatives from various institutions, which included Caritas Zambia, FODEP, Youth Alliance for Development, and the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, among others, met in Solwezi at the Kansanshi Hotel to mediate between mining companies and government on the need to plow back to the province through the launch of a 3.5 project dubbed Strengthened Accountability. This project will be implemented in 2 districts, namely Solwezi and Chavuma. The workshop was organized by Diakonia, a faith-based organization which was represented by its country director, Sombo Chunda.
The program that we're launching is called Strengthened Accountability Program. It has an overall outcome which we anticipate to achieve at the end of the 3-year implementation phase. And the outcome that we hope to achieve is to have empowered rights holders, empowered citizens in the communities where we'll be working.
Civil society representatives also made the presentations on the prevailing situation in the province.
We are talking economic poverty because we want every one of us to be involved in the social, political, and economic affairs of this country. Secondly, our mission, how do we achieve this? What we want is to strengthen and promote democracy.
Why are we involved in this particular project? The answer is basically simple for us. It's the role of women and young people, the process of holding duty bearers accountable for the provisions of services in our local communities.
But one person who is more disturbed on the lack of attention to many economic issues in the province is Chief Mumena, who could not hide his emotions in his speech.
Always said, and we've said it again and again, and we'll say it again and again, it is immoral to see such depravity and utmost poverty, the worst kind of poverty, in the midst of plenty. It's unacceptable.
Government, through the provincial minister, Nathaniel Mubukwanu, equally shares the views of other speakers regarding the lack of development in the province.
Zambia is indeed blessed with resources that, if well harnessed, can bring development to the country and meaningful change in the lives of our people. After 50 years of independence and close to 100 years of mineral exploration in the country, the benefits have not trickled down from these activities to the ordinary citizens.
Northwestern Province, particularly Solwezi, should not be in this state if people interested in sharing the national cake were concerned about the province. Kalan Mchimang, reporting for Prime TV News, Solwezi, Northwestern Province.
Chiefs and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkanduluo says efforts to bring acting President Dr. Guy Scott on board for the PF campaigns have not yielded any positive outcomes. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Prime TV, Professor Luo said the rest of the members cannot continue pleading for Dr. Scott, who seems not interested in party matters. Professor Luo, who is also Munali PF MP, says the Edgar Lungu team will go ahead with the campaigns with or without the help of Dr. Scott. The PF have held 2 rallies so far in Kitwe and Mansa, which were both shunned by Dr. Scott.
I think everybody is very clear where we're coming from as a party. We've gone through so much in terms of the acting president not supporting the candidate that was preferred by everybody. It's very clear he doesn't want to support the Patriotic Front. Because when you are a leader, you listen to the voice of the majority. That's what a leader does.
So does that worry you as a party? Doesn't that worry you as a party?
Well, the fact that we are all agreed and we are all working together, if one person doesn't want to work with the others, that's fine. Because we'll be wasting our time. We gave the UPND and the MMD 2 weeks to campaign while we were just trying to say to him, look, this is the direction that you want us to go. So we don't have time anymore. This is time for us to be campaigning. He can stay when you decide to join the campaign. He will come and join. If he doesn't want, that's fine. It's very clear in my mind that he is not supportive of the Patriotic Front. It's very clear in my mind that he wants to kill this party. And I don't think President Sata, may he so rest in peace, would wish that a party that he worked so hard for.
A steering committee has disclosed that it has been working with the Ministry of Gender and Traditional Affairs to ensure that more than 20,000 people are on ARV treatment. Chairman of the committee, Dr. Kumar Babu, says the response from the young people over its program and meetings is encouraging. Dr. Babu said this at the second regional symposium in Lusaka. He has described the meeting as a success, stating that the turn-up of adolescents from around Africa was overwhelming. Dr. Babu said a total of 28 countries were present at the symposium, and the meeting was the first time to be held in Zambia. He adds that there was a total of 700 youths in attendance and 400 were from Zambia.
Population, which consists 28% of the total population, which is at risk, and therefore it was decided that we pick on the adolescents and give them a chance to come forward and tell us what their problems are. How can the government or all the governments in the sub-region, this is a sub-region meeting, regional meeting. It is not just a national meeting confining Zambia, but it confines the whole of Africa. There are total 28 countries who have come, out of which some 700 people have registered for this meeting, out of which somewhere around 400 are adolescents from different countries who have come to participate and contribute as to how the adolescent population can be assisted and how new programs can be brought, how they can be reached, and how they can be protected.
We now go for our first break. Join us for more and other interesting stories when we return.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
What's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Welcome back. Some church mother bodies and other institutions have warned Zambians against voting for political parties failing to respect their own party constitutions. Speaking at a joint press briefing attended by representatives from the Oasis Forum, Zambia Episcopal Conference, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, and the Law Association of Zambia, Council of Churches in Zambia, General Secretary Suzanne Matale, wondered why Zambians should vote for politicians who have failed to respect their own constitutions. She has urged Zambians to scrutinize the participating candidates and parties carefully so as not to usher in governments which they will later end up regretting for the choice made. Ms. Matale has further expressed concern at the current political environment in the country.
While many stakeholders are following the political events from the terraces, others have come out in the open to air out their grievances on the unfolding events. Several groupings, which include the Oasis Forum, Zambia Episcopal Conference ZAC, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia EFZ, and the Law Association of Zambia LAZ, including the Council of Churches in Zambia, have pointed out that what is currently obtaining in Zambia is very disturbing to the country's political dispensation. CCZ General Secretary, who is also Oasis Forum Chairperson Suzanne Matale, spoke on behalf of other institutions where she pointed out the lack of maturity in some parties where they keep fighting amongst one another.
We wish to express our concern on the recent appalling political climate in our country. A series of events that have happened and were perpetrated by politicians and their cadres of supporters can only be equated to failure of leadership and lack of maturity among groups of different interests within the same political party.
Ms. Matale further said parties failing to respect their own constitutions should not be trusted with power, as they might also disrespect the Republican Constitution.
We also submit that a clear and well-understood constitution at both the party and national levels is a panacea for dealing with intra-party conflicts and succession disputes if and when they arise. Failure to establish and uphold suitable constitutions inevitably leads to the breeding of chaos within the political parties as well as in government.
But what could be leading to all these political hiccups?
The recent events in our country point us to the need for a new constitution, which we strongly believe is a tool for good governance. The political dilemma we have experienced recently reveals the inherent weaknesses and inadequacies in our national constitution, and it shows that this current constitution is badly flawed, incapable of supporting democratic interests.
Talan Chima, reporting for Prime TV News in Lusaka.
Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD, says Western Province has the potential to become not only Zambia, but the continent's food basket if it is properly harnessed by leaders. Speaking during a rally in Mongu, FDD President Edith Nawakwi says it is worrying that the province is in a poor state when it has massive potential for agriculture. Ms. Nawakwi has wondered why the province should lag behind in development when it has all resources which it needs to develop. She says it is not right that school children in the province are dropping out of schools due to simple reasons which can easily be fixed if responsible leaders were voted for. Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has urged journalists in the country to be factual and report cases of gender-based violence. Information Permanent Secretary Chandaka Solo says gender-based violence is psychologically driven in most people around the world. He says the psychological deficit is what causes most people to be violent because of the experiences, adding that children tend to become violent in their later stages because of what they see from the parents. Mr. Kasolo says there is need to prosecute more cases of gender-based violence and to cancel the perpetrators once prosecuted. The Permanent Secretary said this during the workshop for 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
When we in the House don't realize that The saying is, monkey see, monkey do, then we're doomed. You know, if you watch children, they look at the parents. We are the gods to them. If I'm violent to my partner, the children think that's a normal thing to be. And they'll also come and replicate that later in life. So we must be very, very careful what we do when in our own homes. Before we lift our finger to push our partner, or even to beat up the child, let's just think, what is that doing to the mind of the child, of the children around us? It is poisoning them. They'll be worse than that later in life.
We'll now take our second break. Join us for the last part of our bulletin right after this.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Welcome back. And now in foreign news. Twin bomb blasts have hit a market in the central Nigerian city of Jos, killing up to 30 people, media reports say. Thursday's attack took place shortly after 6 p.m. local time, 17 hours Greenwich Mean Time, near the site where a similar attack killed scores in May. The blasts occurred as store owners were shutting their shops and Muslims were preparing for evening prayers. The National Emergency Management Agency confirmed 17 deaths, but several media outlets quoted officials giving higher death tolls. A spokesman for the agency, Abdul Salam Muhammad, said staff were combing through the areas where the explosion occurred for IEDs that may have been planted by the perpetrators. Authorities in Sierra Leone have imposed a 2-week lockdown in the eastern district of Kono after health workers uncovered a surge of Ebola infections in the area where the epidemic was thought to be largely under control. The worst outbreak of Ebola on record has killed 6,533 people in the 3 West African countries most hit by the disease, Sierra Leone, Liberia and Guinea, and infected 18,118 people. Sierra Leone, with a shortage of treatment centers and trained staff, has overtaken Liberia as the worst affected nation. The World Health Organization said that it had found bodies piled up at the only hospital in Kono, a district of about 350,000 people bordering Guinea. Officials from the WHO, Health Ministry and U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, discovered 87 bodies had been buried in 11 days. For these and other interesting stories, we did monitor Al Jazeera.
The director of the CIA has admitted what he called abhorrent and unauthorized interrogation techniques were used in the hunt for Osama bin Laden. But John Brennan also defended the agency's methods. Authorities in Sierra Leone have imposed a 2-week lockdown in a remote region after health workers uncovered a surge of Ebola infections. The epidemic was thought to be largely under control in the diamond-rich Kono district, but the team buried 87 bodies in 11 days, and they fear the Ebola data on Sierra Leone underrepresents the situation in Kono. Ebola has killed more than 6,500 people in West Africa. Sierra Leone recently overtook Liberia as the country worst affected by the disease. Environmental activists say an oil spill in Bangladesh is an ecological catastrophe. An oil tanker collided with another vessel in the Sundarbans Delta, the world's largest mangrove forest and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Activists say the spill threatens trees, fish and a rare species of dolphin. There's been an attack on the Israeli embassy in the Greek capital Athens. At least 20 shots were fired at the building from a car, but no one was hurt. There's no information yet on who's behind the attack. The Palestinian Authority has postponed a meeting to decide on a response to the death of Minister Ziad Abu Ain. Thousands have attended the funeral of Abu Ain, who died after a confrontation with Israeli soldiers in the occupied West Bank. The chief Palestinian negotiator says he's planning to end security cooperation with Israel following the death. 2 bombs have exploded in Nigeria in what appears to be the latest attack by Boko Haram fighters. At least 17 people, including many at an outdoor market, were killed in the city of Jos, the capital of Plateau State. The explosions happened as both the ruling political party and the opposition named their candidates for the presidential election in February. A policeman in Kenya has been killed and 2 others wounded. A gang attacked a camp in Mwanamwinga in the coastal county of Kilifi. A manhunt is now underway for the attackers. And the price of oil has fallen to a 5-year low. Brent crude, which is used as a benchmark, is currently trading at around $64 a barrel.
And finally, in sports. MTN Zambia and Football Association of Zambia FAZ have renewed their contract that will see a sponsorship of football in the country. Speaking at the contract signing ceremony at the Football Association of Zambia, MTN Chief Executive Officer Abdu Ishmael says his company is inspired by the development of soccer standards in the country. Mr. Ishmael says football in Zambia is a #1 passion, and supporting football is directly supporting MTN customers. And FAZ President Kalusha Walia says the marriage between FAZ and MTN will go a long way and will help produce good results for football in the country. The contract will see MTN Zambia continue with the main sponsorship of the senior national soccer team and FAZ Super League.
Most of you may be aware our partnership with FAZ started in 2010 when most companies did not think it's prudent to invest in local football.
As you rightly put it, that Zambia's passion for football, can never be overemphasized. I thank you very much for the media, for the fantastic coverage of the MTN Super League. We hope that you continue again to give us the news, which is the good news about Zambian football.
And as we conclude our news, we take a recap of what made the headlines. Supreme Court reserves ruling in Maus Sampa's case for Monday. Efforts to bring Guy Scott on PF campaigns have failed, charges in Kanduluo. ZEC warns the public against voting for leaders failing to respect their party constitutions. And in foreign news, twin blasts hit a market in Nigeria's Jos. And that's that we had on the news today. Thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of the newsroom and the production crew, this has been Daniel Tonga. Thank you so much and bye for now.
the good times with Cremica biscuits for those family moments.
You see, I have never fought with a lion. I have never hunted through the forest in pursuit of food. But I do have the fighting spirit. Because for decades, my people fought for freedom. And in 1964, we won. I love to do the Fwemba, the Kalela, the Kwasa Kwasa. I wear chitenge. So does my girlfriend. I eat crisps, not crisps. I love Nsima, Kapenta, Chihuahua, Delele. I'm Josh, and I'm proud to be Zambian.
iConnect, celebrating 50 years of Zambia's independence. Hashtag OnlyPazed. iConnect, make it happen.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.